Hello and good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brendan Lepal and you're watching News at 10. Our headlines tonight. A level of public health stability to be gauged with ICU admission. Ex-magistrate gets 58 years jail for corruption. The effect and level of public health stability after the opening of the country's borders would only be measured through the rate of admission into intensive care units. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said as international borders start to open on the 1st of April, health and public authorities will ensure the opening is made safely with no pressure on the public health system.
Tapi apa yang kita tak tahu adalah dari segi varian-varian baru yang mungkin muncul. Ini perkara yang kita masih lagi sedang pantau. Sebab sekarang ni kita tahu bahawa Omicron ni pun dia ada dia punya sub-lineage dia, BA1, BA2. Jadi ini perkara yang sedang dipantau oleh KKM. Kalau kita tengok kepada negara-negara Eropah, dia punya kadar jangkitan mula turun tapi dah mula naik balik.
He said this in a media conference after attending the UMNO General Assembly in the nation's capital today. Khairi was replying to questions on the ways to measure public health stability adopted by the ministry. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Semasa on 8th of March announced that Malaysia was entering the transition to endemic phase as well as reopening the country's borders on 1st April. UMNO has reiterated its stance of continuing to support the leadership of Prime Minister Datuk Seri Semasa in rebuilding the country. Addressing some 2,680 delegates at the UMNO General Assembly today, UMNO President Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi also asked Datuk Seri Semasa, who is Party Vice President, to manage the government well.
Datuk Seri Ismail, jagalah kerajaan elok-elok. Kita beri dokongan kepada Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri kita. InsyaAllah saya dan Tok Mat dan rakan-rakan lain, kita akan jaga parti. Kami akan perkuatkan parti, Tuan Mail keluarkan kerajaan. Kita harus seiring jalan. Kerajaan dan parti harus seiring jalan.
Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid said this when opening the assembly at World Trade Center WTC, Kuala Lumpur. Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid also said that he and all the UMNO delegates would also like to express their appreciation to Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri for his announcement that the government is allowing employees Provident Fund EPF contributors to make a special withdrawal of up to 10,000 ringgit from their accounts.
Kita bersyukur kepada Allah SWT. Akhirnya, kerajaan bersetuju melalui pengumuman Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri untuk memberikan kelulusan pengeluaran wang KWSP. Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri, saya dan para perwakilan ingin mengucapkan syabas dan tahniah.
The Prime Minister announced on Wednesday that the government had decided to allow EPF contributors to withdraw 10,000 ringgit to ease the burden of Keluarga Malaysia members who are still impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said although it was a difficult decision to make, the green light for the special withdrawal was a middle-of-the-road approach to strike a balance between their current pressing needs and savings for the future. Ketere UMNO Chief Tan Sri Anwar Musa was of the view that UMNO cannot decide on its own on the 15th general election. He said this is because the party is in a government which is made up of a coalition with other parties. Tan Sri Anwar also said that issues pertaining to the dissolution of Parliament needs to be discussed in an orderly manner, adding that UMNO President Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi has been very careful in his speech earlier, leaving the matter to the Prime Minister.
Soal bila nak bubar tak pernah diputuskan dalam Perhimpunan Agung UMNO. Tarikh pembubaran ini pertama kita kena faham. Dari segi perlembagaan, kuasa mutlak Seri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Jadi sekarang ini bukan macam dulu. Sekarang ini UMNO adalah minoriti dalam kerajaan. Kita hanya satu kerajaan yang ada 42 kerusi daripada 116 kerusi.
Now, the Sessions Court today sentenced a former magistrate to a total of 58 years in prison and a fine of 1.05 million ringgit and default 72 months jail after finding him guilty of 6 counts of soliciting and accepting bribes from a former trader about 2 years ago. However, Muhammad Amin Shahul Hamid, 41, formerly a magistrate at the Lipis and Raub Court, only has to serve 12 years in prison after Judge Dato Ahmad Zamzani Muhammad Zain ordered the prison sentences to be served concurrently. Dato Ahmad Zamzani allowed a stay of execution on the sentence pending his appeal to the High Court and imposed an additional bail of 25,000 ringgit with one surety, bringing the total bail to 50,000 ringgit. Muhammad Amin was also ordered to surrender his passport to the court. In his judgment, the judge said Muhammad Amin's defense was merely an afterthought and a bare denial that failed to raise reasonable doubt in its case. Muhammad Amin was charged with soliciting bribes amounting to 100,000 ringgit and receiving 110,000 ringgit from one Hassan Basri Ahmad Sultan Modo in Lipis and Raub between the 5th of July and 22nd October 2019. The bribes were as an inducement for the accused not to fine and jail Hassan Basri, who was then facing a charge for possession of smuggled cigarettes. A college student pleaded not guilty in the Kuala Lumpur Magistrates Court today for allegedly driving under the influence of alcohol that resulted in the death of a Kuala Lumpur City Hall DBKL subcontractor's worker last Saturday. Lo Yen Hui, 24, was charged with driving a Toyota Sienta under the influence of alcohol with the presence of 184 milligrams of alcohol per 100 millimeters of blood in his system. The reading was over the permitted limit of 50 milligrams of alcohol per 100 millimeters of blood, resulting in him failing to control the vehicle, which caused the death of Yap Kui Chi, 74, at Jalan Kuching, Batu Caves, bound at 3:15 a.m. last 12 March. Low was charged under Section 44, Subsection 1, Subsection B of the Road Transport Act 1987, which carries a jail term of not less than 10 years and not exceeding 15 years. It also carries a fine of between 50,000 ringgit and 100,000 ringgit and disqualification from holding a driving license for 10 years from the date of conviction if found guilty. Deputy Public Prosecutor Siti Nur Shuhada Abdul Rauf prosecuted, while lawyer K.A. Ramu represented the accused. Magistrate Amanina Muhammad Anwar allowed the accused bail of 12,000 ringgit with one surety and set May 27th for mention. On 12th of March, the victim was reportedly cutting down trees when the car driven by the accused crashed into him, and he died at the scene from serious head injuries. Businesses need to embrace change to seize opportunities in RCEP. Stay with us. The Ministry of International Trade and Industry MITI has urged businesses to embrace change and reform while intensifying cooperation with regional partners to seize vast opportunities provided by the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP. Deputy MITI Minister Dato' Lim Ban Hong said technologies and digitalizations are the driving force to this transformative change to be able to compete efficiently globally.
To be able to compete and increase efficiency globally, it is crucial for businesses to reform. Technologies and digitalization are the driving force to this transformative change. While the government is committed to providing a conducive ecosystem to nurture the growth of the local businesses, through the provision of policies, programs, and continuous support to facilitate companies to venture into new industry and market.
He said this during the China-ASEAN in RCEP implementation, Are Businesses Ready for RCEP seminar today. For Malaysia, the RCEP agreement has come into force today, paving the way for the country to integrate into the world's largest free trade agreement that involves 15 countries with a total population of more than 2.2 billion. Dato' Lim also urged the business community to explore the capacity-building programs available in the RCEP framework as it enables the development and expansion of supply chains among members. University Teknologi Mara UiTM and Malaysia Automotive Robotics and IoT Institute MARI have launched the MARI UiTM Satellite Node, a shared research and development R&D and talent development centre. According to a joint statement today, the centre offers industry-grade facilities, tools and equipment focusing on automotive, automation, robotics, Internet of Things (IoT) and other related fields to stakeholders in the various technology sectors. The satellite node, housed at the Smart Manufacturing Research Institute SMRI College of Engineering UiTM, aims to further strengthen the expansion of Industry 4.0 R&D, promote and develop academic, cultural research, cooperation and talent networks within the local technology sectors, as well as strengthening the Society 5.0 suppliers development in Malaysia. The statement said satellite node's goals kicks off with the signing of 3 memorandums of agreement between the two parties, covering the development of virtual learning system for metal additive manufacturing IR 4.0, lean karakuri assembly line teaching and learning, and developing predictive models to perform COVID-19 symptoms detection. UiTM Vice-Chancellor Professor Dato' Rozia Muhammad Janor explained that this strategic partnership would provide an avenue for UiTM, especially in smart manufacturing engineering, as well as expertise in other fields, to work with relevant industries and at the same time support the nation by producing graduates ready for the latest IR 4.0 industry. To protect the sovereignty and interests of Malaysia, the government has filed an application in the Court of Arbitration in Paris to cancel the final award in relation to claims by purported descendants of the Sulu Sultan. Prime Minister Dato' Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the application in the French court was filed on 3rd March to ensure that the award could not be enforced and Malaysia need not have to pay the sum of $14.9 billion or 62.59 billion ringgit, which was claimed. In a statement today, he stressed that the claims made by the so-called heirs of the Sulu Sultan against the government of Malaysia in the international arbitration proceedings were invalid and against the law. The Premier added that this is because the appointment of arbitrator Dr. Gonzalo Stampa was annulled by the Madrid High Court on 29 June 2021, rendering invalid all decisions made by him, including the final award issued on 28 February this year. The Prime Minister said Dr. Stampa, however, ignored the Madrid High Court decision by moving the venue for arbitration to Paris and continuing with the arbitration proceedings until he issued the final award. Dato' Seri Ismail Sabri said the government remains firm in its stance that Sabah has been recognized by the United Nations and the international community as part of the Federation of Malaysia since 16 September 1963 and will not entertain any claims over Sabah from any quarters. In this regard, he said, the government of Malaysia remains committed to resolving this issue in a comprehensive and conclusive manner. And in sports, Zija sets up another quarter-final clash with Momota at All England. Stay with us. National top men's singles shuttler Lee Zijia has set up a tantalizing All-England quarter-final clash against world number 2 Kento Momota of Japan. Reigning champion Zijia advanced to the last 8 stage after eliminating Canada's Brian Yang 26-24, 21-11 in the second round at the Arena Birmingham on Thursday. Momota, the 2019 champion who entered the quarterfinals by taming Hyo Kwang-hee of South Korea, said he is going to do his best in his encounter with Zijia. The exciting showdown is scheduled for 5 p.m. local time, 1 a.m. Saturday Malaysian time. Zijia has won only twice against Momota in their 10 meetings, with the first coming at the 2021 All-England quarterfinals en route to his maiden major Badminton World Federation BWF Tour title.
Why do we tell you stories?
Relevant,
New,
efficient,
accurate.
reliable. We bring you extraordinary stories from around the world, from politicians, bankers, and even your favorite celebrities. This and many more on RTM's English News. And that's it from us this evening. And our top story, level of public health stability to be gauged with ICU admission. Join us for updates at noon at 12:30 tomorrow. Till then, it's lights out. I'm Brendan Gopal. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Stay safe.